Hi YouTube, Maria Guild here. So we actually recently chose to withdraw our kids from the public school system and instead put them into a homeschooling program. So we kind of made that decision at the end of last year. Our kids were doing the distance learning because of COVID. And for us personally as a family, it just didn't work out very well. It was pretty confusing, kind of having the middleman as far as the teacher, and then she wasn't able to have direct access to the kids a lot of times, and she would be contacting me, and there was just a lot of back and forth and a lot of confusion. So at the beginning of this school year, I decided that I kind of wanted to have the full curriculum. I wanted to administer the school myself so that there wasn't any questions. I knew exactly what the kids are supposed to be doing every day because I was the teacher and I had the curriculum and I had all the answer keys, and there wasn't any kind of go-between with somebody else. I just kind of wanted to be more in control of it. Because it was very frustrating. Like, I'd be at work and the teacher would be constantly texting me and being like, oh, your daughter didn't finish, this page, and she's missing a sheet in her assignment. And then my daughter would be like, no, I turned everything in. I don't understand what they're talking about. I can't see that. And then so I'd have to arrange a time to go on with the teacher. And then half the time the teacher would be like, oh, I didn't realize they couldn't see it. Thanks for letting me know. Or, oh, I totally forgot to add that to the page. And, so it was just super confusing. Anyways, so I decided I was going to withdraw them from the public school and I was going to put them into homeschooling. I was really nervous about that at first, but it actually turned out to be really, really simple, and I just wanted to share with you what we did and how it worked and how easy it is in case you also want to try and remove your kids from the public school. Here in Southern California, they are not back in school. They are all still sitting at home, but doing the distance learning through the public school system. So for us, it was just a perfect time to switch over to homeschooling. So this is what we did. The very first thing we had to do, we had to formally withdraw our kids from the school. And that was not hard at all. I actually called the district and I let them know that we were going to be withdrawing the kids from said schools. I gave them the legal name of the kids and the schools they were in. My kids were in 2 separate schools. And I explained to them that I would be withdrawing them from the public school and that I would be putting them into a private school. And I'll explain why I said that in a minute. So it was actually really simple. The district was like, well, we're sorry to see you go, but here's a little link to click and your kids will be officially withdrawn from the school. So I was quite impressed because it wasn't hard to do at all. So now the reason I said we were going to be putting them into a private school versus saying we were going to be homeschooling them is because the laws in California have changed a little bit recently. And the wonderful Gavin Newsom is not allowing the kids to do homeschooling via charter schools, which is how a lot of people used to do the homeschooling. So now if you do want to do a homeschooling, you cannot go in with a charter school. In other words, there's no funding available for homeschooling anymore. What you have to do is you have to file yourself as a private school. So it's not hard to do at all, but you have to file something called a PSA. So if you Google file a PSA, if you're in the state of California, the page will come up. Now on that page, it explains who would qualify to file a PSA. And one of the people that qualify is parents who are wishing to homeschool. But in order to homeschool now, you have to be what they call a private school. So we did that. It's just a form that you fill out. You can actually click through the form before you submit it just so you can understand kind of what the documentation is. But basically, you're just creating yourself a little private school for your little tiny homeschool. And that's what we did. You're going to pick a nice groovy little name for it, and then you're going to file it. So I did that right away because I just wanted to have that on file as I withdrew my kids from school. But I actually didn't need to do that right away because you only have to file a PSA once a year, and usually the filing time is in October from the 1st to the 15th. Now, the next thing we had to do is obviously pick a curriculum for our kids to still do school while they were at home. So obviously we didn't want them to just be at home and not learning. So I picked a curriculum, and I actually picked an accredited curriculum, which means that they would keep records for the kids, and it acted basically like a virtual private school. So I picked the ABECA curriculum and I put them into the accredited program. It was wonderful because they actually were able to contact the school that my kids previously were enrolled in for me, and they requested the release of records. So technically schools don't do a release of records unless they're releasing to another accredited school, you know, be it a private school or be it, a private school, because it's not the public school system. So I didn't have to do anything. They requested the release of records and they got my kids enrolled in their accredited program and withdrawn from the public school system. And it was easy as pie and it was wonderful. The only downside is that because Gavin Newsom, he basically, so from how I understand it, every school-age child gets, there's a little bit of money assigned to them from the federal government. And typically when they're in public school, it goes straight to the public school to use for their books and their, you know, all that kind of stuff. When you homeschool, especially if you go through a charter school, you are able to have access to that funding and you can use it to pay for your curriculums or any extracurricular activities. Gavin Newsom actually stopped that, so there's no funding available anymore for people who want to homeschool. He just made it completely illegal because he wants to keep all the school and all the funding into the public school system. I don't know how I feel about that. Actually, I didn't feel great about it because we needed to buy the new curriculum that the kids were going to do, and it did cost a decent amount of money, and it would have been nice to have the money available that is supposed to go to them for their schooling. But it's okay, we had to pay it out of pocket, which I was more comfortable doing just so that I could have their full curriculum for the year and there wouldn't be any confusion and we'd be able to go at our own pace and experience true homeschooling instead of distance learning. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to make another video where I kind of show you their books and the curriculum and how I kind of divide their day up, and it's been really fun and it's been really wonderful. But I just wanted to make this video to say, don't be afraid, don't be scared. It's really not hard. If you feel like you'd be more comfortable doing homeschooling with your kids right now, especially since they're all at home anyways, if for some reason the public school system's not working out so good, it's really not hard to do the homeschooling yourself. There's lots of wonderful curriculums out there. There's accredited ones. There's online learning, all that kind of stuff. So if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comment, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time and try it. It's not that hard. All right, bye.